even with Blackie Lawless, you don't hear none of that stuff even played on rock and roll stations around here. Is that because they just don't send their music down this way?
No, I mean, it's because no. Oh. No, Mike. It's not because they send it. I mean, I'll thank you, Mike, for the call. I'll be as brutal as I can and brutally honest. First of all, Blackie Lawless is extremely active in Europe. He doesn't do much in America because Europe, he is way more popular. He's touring as we speak throughout Europe for the Crimson Idol, which is the 25th anniversary of the record. There's also a movie coming out. So if you're a WASP fan or a Blackie Lawless fan, you should search online and see what's going on, buy the movie, buy the record, and see if there are live dates in America. There are currently not, but Blackie is active. But when you talk about the singer from Hardline and you talk about the guitarist Axel Rudy Pell, which that's the name that you're trying to get, these are artists that nobody knows at mainstream rock radio. I mean, and this is not a knock on any of these artists for their ability. It's not a question of whether they're good or not. It's not a question of if they're talented or not. But nobody is going to play those artists because nobody outside of a small handful of people know who they are. And WASP is not going to get played on mainstream rock radio. They never did. They are a band that sold records. They are a band that has history. They are a band that had some level of success. But they're not going to get played on rock radio. Rock radio doesn't play new music from the Rolling Stones. There's no program director out there figuring out what air shift he's going to program in Fuck Like a Beast by WASP. Everybody has bands that they love that nobody else knows. But you just got to apply logic to it. There's a million bands I love. I could rattle you off 50 names right now. I know they're not going to get played on the radio. I know they're not going to do live shows because no one's going to book them because no one is going to show up. Now, they may show up on a cruise. They may show up low billed on some 80s festival somewhere. That's possible. But to tour or hear them on the radio? In 1,000 years, it ain't going to happen. I love a band called Icon from Phoenix. I know Icon ain't doing nothing. I know I'm not turning on the radio and hearing Icon. It's just simple. It's all based on what most people want to hear, right or wrong, not if it's good or bad. A break, top of the hour, another hour of your calls on Trunk Nation, talking rock with you on volume. Randy in South Carolina. Hi, Randy.
Hey, man.
What's up?
I just want to talk to you about Blackie Lawless and WASP, man. I mean, I'm sitting there listening to you live right now, and the whole conversation you just had with the dude about Anthrax and Guns N' Roses and this, that, and the other. Look, man, it is what it is. But I'm a Hair Nation fan. I've been a Hair Band fan for a long time. I was just wanting to find out about Blackie Lawless and WASP. You know, we lost a good majority of the heavy metal bands back in the day. They're gone.
But Randy, what's your question about Blackie Lawless? What do you want to know? So what's the question?
I just want to know: are they getting back together, or are they going?
Randy, let me get you. Hold on, Randy. Let me get you up to speed because we have this issue. And thank you for the call, but we have this issue all the time on this show, and it makes me nuts. And I say it constantly, and it is a hot button thing for me. Randy says he's a WASP fan. First of all, as you guys know, I hate the term hair band, but Randy used it. How that applies to WASP, I have no idea because they had nothing to do with that, in my opinion. They were a theatrical rock band, even if you do want to use that term, but whatever. Secondly, more importantly, Randy is wondering if WASP is ever getting back together when they never broke up. Randy is wondering if WASP is ever going to release a new record when they've made a new record about every other year, including one last year called Golgotha, which was on my personal top 10 albums of the year. So, again, I'm not going to go crazy here because I don't need to, because you guys all know how I feel about this, but it is mind-blowing to me when people can call this show or call any show and say they are a fan of a band and not know what that band is doing and not know that that band is active. When you have the internet and Google in this day and age so available to everybody, and you don't know what your favorite band is doing and that they're even still together and that they've made new records, is amazing. And it's a disservice to those bands, and it's impossible to consider yourself a fan of that band when you can't type in WASP the band in Google and know and follow and keep up with what they're doing. Now, WASP hasn't been doing much in America touring-wise, but they've put out a record, and they never broke up. Randy, seek it out. It's a real good record. And I'm not just jumping on you, Randy, but it makes me nuts. People wonder why these bands don't tour more in America or do more in America or release new music. These are perfect examples why. They're dying out there. They're playing to 70 people, 50 people a night. Some of them, a lot of them. To some, that's a generous number. And they could have fans in the backyard of where they're playing that are sitting there saying, I wonder if that band's still together, when they're playing across the street. Why? Because that fan simply didn't Google and find their website and find out that they're touring and that they're still active. It's mind-blowing that that happens in 2016.
I have two questions, actually. My first one is, I just got the re-edition of the Crimson Idol album by WASP, all right? And it's called Re-Idolize. There's a new cover and all. And I just thought it was going to be like a remaster thing or maybe a remix, but it's completely re-recorded. It's just I have no idea why Blackie did that. I went to the website, I went to Wikipedia, and there's no information whatsoever in the making of this. There's barely inner notes inside the record. It says Mike Duda plays the bass. There's no trace of Bob Kulick or anybody of the original recording, and it's kind of puzzling. I have no idea. And there's no information.
Yeah, but my understanding was a lot of that was done because of the movie, that there's some movie companion to that, which I've never seen. But that the big part about that whole anniversary of that record is going to be because of the movie companion that's supposedly included in the package. I haven't seen it.
It is included. It comes in I got the vinyl and the CD, and the CD comes with a DVD and the Blu-ray. It's the same thing in both discs. But the movie's not new. I mean, I saw the show in London in 2008, and it's the same movie he was projecting on stage. So it's not new. It's not new material. But the re-recording is a big deal. I mean, why he decided to completely re-record it with the current lineup? This classic.
Well, there's a lot. Well, Claudio, there's a lot of reasons for that. Bands re-record, and thank you for your call. Bands re-record old albums of theirs predominantly for one reason, because they need to own. They want to own it. In other words, they don't own. In the case of, if you're talking about a WASP album like the Crimson Idol, that record was done for Capitol Records. Capitol Records owns the master recording of that more than likely. So Blackie Lawless could not release this on his own. He could not put out a special edition package of it using that original recording because he doesn't own it. If you want to own it, you need to re-record it. That's why you see a lot of bands who don't own their catalog do re-record records, re-recorded compilation records, because then they own and control the master and make way much more money if they're able to sell that version of the song. So a band like Twisted Sister re-records We're Not Going to Take It, because if a TV commercial comes to them and says, we want to use the song, they're going to try to sell the re-record versus that company, that advertiser, going to their record label and licensing the original version. Most casual fans won't know the difference because it can sound pretty similar. And some of the advertisers will say, yeah, we'll take the other version because we'll get a better deal. And it's a win-win because the artist makes a lot more money if they can sell a re-record. But that's why it's done, because these bands don't own their masters. And they want to make deals that are in their favor. And if they do, tons of bands have re-recorded songs. Kiss has re-recorded Rock and Roll All Night and all those benchmark songs. If they can convince a company that wants to put it in an ad to use their version versus the original, they'll make way more money and they can control it. Def Leppard did re-records of some of their stuff before they cleared all their stuff for streaming, which just happened recently, like a week ago. Before that, there was re-records of Def Leppard songs on streaming because it was their versions. They made the money. They didn't let their original versions until just recently go on there because they were unhappy with the royalty rate. 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it comes down to money and business as your